be an interesting one, although this particular session is just going to be one session just to introduce you to what a business analysis is and how you can become a business analyst. So we'll try as much as possible. I will try as much as possible to give you just intro to the role. Then whoever that is interested in the internship, so you can enroll, fill up the application. I think you have the information on the Telegram platform, so you can get that in there. So all the details that you need for the internship. And regarding the internship, this is where you'll be able to hands-on experience, you'll be able to work with other people, and you'll be able to, carry out that role as a business analyst. You participate in projects, and definitely is a very good one. I will encourage anyone that is interested to do that. Definitely, you will gain a lot. And because there are some, definitely this particular one is just introduction. I can give you all the theories and tell you what it's all about. But the thing is that for you to have that experience, definitely you need that internship for you to be able to actually gain the experience, because they may teach you how this is how you write your user story, this is how you participate in a project. But if you have not done it, it's different. When you go for an interview, they will be asking you all sorts of questions. But if it's something that you have done, definitely you'll be able to, provide response to it easily, unlike if you've not done anything like that. So to respond to interview questions, that may be difficult, and whoever that is interviewing will know whether you have done it or not. And so that's why the internship is very important. Although it's optional, it's not mandatory. But yeah, so if you can do it, definitely is added advantage to you. Okay, so I talk a lot, but because it's part of my role, it's part of my job. But you can try and stop me anytime. It's going to be an interactive session. I will try and make sure that we're able to complete this within, this particular slides I have a few slides there. I will try as much as possible to try and make sure we finish maybe around 10 o'clock. So, but probably maybe question and answers, we cannot hit 10 o'clock. But I'm not promising that, but I'll try and make sure we finish 10 o'clock. And, because in the previous sessions that we've had, we usually have, I think maybe 2 or 3 years ago. So we usually have like maybe 12 hours session, like 2 hours for 6 weeks. So, but definitely this one is just to compress it, just to introduce you. So we are not going to go over everything that you can access on the YouTube Blue Sky Citadel YouTube channel. So I will just try and make sure we try as much as we cover most of the things that you need, at least just to know what you need to know about this business analysis. In terms of the materials, so definitely this is the BCS textbook. So definitely if you want to do the certification, you will need to get this textbook. It's on Amazon, it's on eBay. You can get the textbook. So I will recommend it so that you can, because all the the fundamentals that you need to know as a business analyst, you get it in there, the introduction, the skills, the competencies, all the things, like most of the things that you need to know as a basic, you will get those information there, how you can, get requirement, what it's all about. So definitely is one of the textbooks that I would say you should get. Yeah, so if you want to do the certification, definitely you need this textbook. And so then also, like I said earlier, most of what we are going to discuss today is just introduction. So, but you can access all the previous videos classes that we've done. You can access it on Blue Sky Citadel YouTube channel. You can get it in there. Once you just type in business analysis, maybe you can see maybe winter 2019, summer 2019, or summer 2020. So what you need to do is just that once you access that summer 2020, you need to make sure you try to follow through, because it will be in sequence. So because if not, what you have in class 2 of summer 2020, it could be different from what you have in class 2 of summer 2019. So you just have to make sure that when you're going through watching the video, you watch the one that is for that particular season. So the entire one. So don't try to mix man. But the thing is that, I'm not saying you should not watch the one of 2019, but it's just for you to, to flow through. So you just have like maybe the first one is about introduction, the second one may be about Visio, and the third one may be about maybe the requirement gathering. While if you try to mix it up, you may not really be able to know how, that flow, it may not really that easy like that. So, but at the same time, like, because we are not, I'm not using like scripts, to deliver the message, the training. So what I have mentioned in 2019, maybe summer, it could be different, like some few things may be different in what I've mentioned or discussed in 2020 summer classes. So if you have time, just try and, watch maybe 2020, 2019, just try and watch through all those classes, but it's mandatory. Before you can enroll in the internship, it's mandatory that you have to, watch, the previous video. I'm not saying you have to watch maybe from 2018 or 2019 up to 2021. No, but at least it's mandatory that you have to watch maybe at least one full season, of that, the training classes. So even if it's just, maybe 2020 winter or summer classes, just try and watch it, because it will help you, during the internship, because you will need to practice everything, that have actually mentioned in there. You have to practice it, during the internship. And so that's why we are not doing like, the full classes, because everything is available. We've done it, so there's no need for repetition and all those things. So you can access it there. And so, like I mentioned, the certification, so it's always good, if you have the certification in business analysis, if you want to practice as a business analyst. It's a BCS, and I think, I'm not sure, I think it's less than £200 now, if I'm correct. And so, like the textbook that I showed you earlier, you need that textbook to be able to, for this certification. It's objectives, the question and answers. They will give you question and they give you multiple options. So I think it's usually about 40 questions or so. So, but you just need to try and the reason why I will encourage you to do this certification is that sometimes when you go for an interview or maybe when you apply for a job, sometimes, they may say it's essential or maybe desirable, or they may not tell you that they are really looking for the certification. But sometimes during the shortlisting process, they may actually consider who has, the certification, over the person that does not have the certification, because, definitely everybody thinks, oh, if you have equal experience, the same experience, but, if somebody has a certification, definitely you have an edge over the person that does not have certification. So more or less like, you have to weigh the other person, the other candidate. So that's why the certification is good. It's something that you can easily practice. Sometimes you may even read the textbook like within 2 weeks if you have time. So, and you can do the certification, but just try and make sure you understand it, because you may have different questions, because they usually have like bank of questions. So what's Mr. Hay, or maybe the question that they actually, display for the person may be different from Mr. B, because they have banks of questions. But once you understand what you've read, definitely whatever question they present to you, you'll be able, you get the logic, you understand it, then you'll be able to answer that. So, and that's that one. So that's that on the certification. So yeah. So like I said, I'm not going to go through like, textbook information definition, but what I will try to do is that at the end of the, once at the end of the session, you have an idea, what the business analyst is and who is a business analyst. So you have that idea. And by the time you watch the previous videos that we have on the YouTube channel, you will be able to, have, detailed understanding of what this is all about. So like we said, the business analyst is more or less like, a discipline of identifying like business needs. When you are, we have different organizations, they may have a particular system in place at the moment, but they know that they still need some need. They may not really know what they need or what they actually need to resolve that problem, but they may tell you, okay, what we had at the moment, we have a system in place, but customers are complaining that it takes ages, a long time. They are talking, maybe the customer are complaining about the turnaround time, to get the product to their doorstep, or maybe they may say probably maybe the running cost is too high, but so that's more or less like a problem statement from them, and they're trying to find a solution on how to get rid of this problem, or how to find, a solution to this particular need that they want, because their need is to reduce the turnaround time to the doorstep, to get the product to the doorstep of the user or the customer. And also it could be probably like let's say the running cost. So they may want to try to reduce the running cost of the production. They may want to reduce that. So, but how would they go about it? So they need consultants, they need people to, some specialist skills to help them, through this, process. How are they going to go about it? And sometimes they may even say, this is probably maybe the running cost is too high, and we think probably maybe we have so many staff. That may not even be the problem. So the problem may be, maybe they need to improve some, maybe some processes, improvements need to take place. Maybe they just need to try and find some bottlenecks. It depends. So, but that's why they need somebody that has that skills to help them identify the problem, because sometimes they may know the problem and they may not. And sometimes they may say, this is our needs, but it may not actually be their needs. But if you or as a business analyst, you can help them to actually, you get all the information, then you'll be able to assist. You'll be able to say, okay, this is where the problem is. So then you can propose the solution to say, okay, this is the solution, although not like solely like that. Definitely you'll be working with other people to be able to help the business to determine the solution to their business problems. So, and sometimes the solution could be maybe software system, maybe it could be an application that they need to roll out a new application, or they may need to buy a new system, or maybe just improve an existing system. And it could be maybe they just need to enhance that existing system. Maybe they just need to add some features into that existing system, like enhancement to the system. And it could be probably maybe it's just the processes that they just need to improve their processes. Maybe when like the process of how they take the order, the flow, from that placing an order, getting to the door. Maybe they just need to improve some processes there. Maybe they just need to, so it could be anything. So, but with you having that skills, you'll be able to help them to determine that solution or to the business need. And you don't work like, you'll be working in a team. So when I mean in a team, you may have your project manager, you may have your product owner, you may have your, maybe the solution architect. So it depends on the project. So you have different people that you'll be working with. So that's, yeah. So, and as a business analyst, which I know I've mentioned a few of the things that as a business analyst. So when you gather as a business analyst, you will be the one. So now that they said they have a business problem and they have some needs. So definitely somebody would have, it could be maybe you're a permanent or maybe a contractor. Definitely they will onboard you to the team and they will tell you about what they're trying to do. They may tell you, give you the problem statement, this is what we are trying to do, or give you like the project overview. So either the project manager or whoever that you are working with that is the lead on that project will be able to tell you the information. And then, so from there, you'll be able to say, okay, and because you are there as a BA, you have to play that role. And there are some things that are expected of you. So as a BA, you have some roles and responsibilities, that you need to carry out. So you will be, one of the things is that you will be responsible, for gathering the requirements. We may say elicit, gathering elicit, we use that. So as a business analyst, so but the BA terminology or vocabulary that I use for gathering is elicit, requirements. So you get that information, the requirements, what does the business need, what they're trying to do, or you're trying to understand their existing processes at the moment, or what they actually want. So as a BA, so definitely you will be the one that is responsible, to put all those requirements in place. You will be the one that is more or less like a customer representative, maybe to other technical team. And sometimes it could be that you are liaising with maybe third-party supplier. So you will be more or less like intermediary, because you will be representing the customer, because you are the one that will be liaising with the customer or the consumers or the users, the business user, to say, this is what the business user say they want. These are the things, these are the things, these are the requirements. This is, you need to get understanding of the requirements of what they actually need, because if you pass that, if you pass those requirements to this maybe third-party supplier or maybe the technical team, and if they have any question on those requirements, they will not go directly to the consumers or to the business user. They will come to you. They will say, "Oh, Habiola, these requirements, you said this. Can you explain what you mean by this?" You understand? So they will ask you questions about, so that's why you need to understand the requirements, because you are the one that is going to document those requirements. Because even the business user, they will give you those requirements verbally, maybe during an interview or workshop. So you are the one that will be putting those requirements into documentation, writing it down. So, and you are sending it to the supplier or the technical team. So you will be responsible for, so more or less like you own it, you manage it, you are the person that will be interacting with the business to say, these are the requirements. And sometimes when you are working in a Scrum environment, so the product owner owns that roadmap, but at the same time, you will be working with the product owner. But because the product owner will not even be, doing the workshop or interview, so it's still the job of the BA. But you may be working with the product owner, you guys may be working in hand in hand with, so to get all those jobs done. But at the same time, so you are still responsible, for the requirements. So that's why the requirements is one of the key things that you have to do as a BA. So that's just like a small intro to who a business analyst. And also, you have some, there are some projects. So the BA is not just limited to a particular maybe project, like anywhere. Like I do say that even if it's a construction company, if they want to build, maybe let's say residential homes, maybe about 50 or maybe 100, depending on the quantity, regardless. So as a BA, they will still need a BA, to be able to, to understand the requirement, to document it, to be able to say, okay, how many 3 bedrooms are we having? Is it 4 bedroom? Is it going to be, just maybe 4 bedrooms? That's what they're going to have in that area. Or it's going to be mixture of, 3 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, 4 bedrooms. And, and even the 2 bedrooms, they have to specify what do we need to have in the 2 bedrooms houses or flats. So are we going to have maybe dining area, we'll have kitchen, or is it going to be open plan, or is it going to be, 1 double bed room and 1 master, or 1, let's say, single bedroom? So is it going to have a wardrobe? Is it going to have, how many cabinets? Things like that. Is it going to come with inbuilt dishwasher, inbuilt maybe fridge? All the specification, you still need a BA to do it. And so because the specification of the 2 bedrooms will be different from the specification of the 4 bedrooms. So the 4 bedroom may have carpets, the 4-bedroom may have it may have a garage, why the 2-bedroom will not have. So you still need a BA, to work in that construction, company or project to help them. And even if it's a regulatory, you still need a BA, whether it's bank, where they are doing any project, finance, or any maybe any projects, finance projects, you can still participate as a BA, as long as they have a project, they have something, they have a need. You need a BA to actually help you. Although there are some industries or some companies that may use maybe one of their style, and the person may even be an accountant or maybe another role. They may ask the person, oh, document the requirements. But the thing is that you will know the difference. You will see the difference from an accountant documenting requirements and a BA, specialized or professional BA documenting requirements. You will see the difference when you are reading through the documents. So that's why it's always good to use a BA. The project, I do say, because the project, for any project to be, one of the things is that if you want your project to be successful, you need to get the requirements right, because it's like garbage in, garbage out. If you document wrong requirements, whether it's a BA that documents the requirements, or maybe it's the business user that documents the requirements by themselves, if you document wrong requirements, that means the people down the line, the developer or the solution architect or the testing, the solution architect or the developer will develop a wrong thing because you've documented the wrong requirements. And so once the developer documents the wrong thing, and definitely the same thing that the developer has or maybe produced, that product will be passed to the test analyst or the quality engineer to test it, but they will be testing against the requirements. So definitely they will may think, oh, that is right. Oh, it meets what the person specifying the requirements document, but it's still wrong. So it could be by the time they now send it to the customer, to do the user acceptance testing, or for delivery, for to roll out, maybe for deployment, maybe that's when they will now realize that what they've developed, was actually wrong, but it's actually started from the BA. So that's why, so it's like a single point of failure at the same time. So because if the BA documented the wrong thing, so definitely it will affect the process down to the end. So, but if you identify, so it's possible that maybe the developer may think, depending on the experience, how the developer is experienced, the developer may think, oh, this is not supposed to be, and we call the attention of the BA, then they may rectify it, before passing that. But if nobody actually identified that problem or that mistake, definitely everybody, so that means you wasted resources, time, and efforts. That means you can see. But if you document things right, the requirements are right, and definitely you pass it on to the developer, the person actually, based on the, the correct thing, the developer also documented or maybe deployed, maybe produce the products, and definitely testing, the tester also testing it. So definitely everything will be successful. So BA role is very critical and is very, very it's very crucial role. So you mustn't get it wrong, because definitely it could cost the organization, time, money, resource, definitely. So at least with that scenario, you understand what I remember. BA role is very, very critical role in any project. So because you are the one that is starting the, like the process, and whatever you flow down, through the process, that is going to affect other people that is working down the line, developer, the tester and everybody like that. So it's going to affect them. And so that's that one. So that's a brief one on that. Yeah. So do you require IT knowledge to practice as a BA, as a business analyst? No, you don't. I've seen some people that actually probably maybe read law as first degree, or maybe read accountancy as first degree, and or business administration, and they're practicing as a BA. You don't need any IT knowledge, but you still you just need to know how to use the computer. as long as you can, you can read and you can write, I think, yeah, definitely. You don't need to know all these, maybe, some, what will I call it? Like, maybe you need to know SQL query. You need to know. You don't need those. It's not a basic requirement. For you to practice as a BA, it's not a basic requirement. But if you know that, if you know, for example, if you have a knowledge, excuse me, if you have a knowledge, of SQL language, programming language, it could be that you may be involved in any data project, and it will be an added advantage for you because you are familiar with that programming language, because there are some projects that you would do if you have a particular experience. So for example, assuming they're doing, let's say, maybe they want to roll out, let's say, Sage, or let me see, let's say one of these payroll or maybe accounting, application, and they need the BA to work on that particular project, document the requirements, and all those things, because if you're familiar with that, and maybe you've read accountancy as your first degree or as your second degree, whatever it is, but you are familiar with that line, and if you're talking about all these, all that, this accountancy, all these accounting terminologies, definitely you are familiar with that. You understand it easily compared to somebody that is probably maybe, let's say, a developer, or maybe somebody that reads computer science. Definitely the person that read computer science may not really be able to understand what do you mean by budget ledger, or what do you mean by, all those accounting terminologies. So although as a computer science person, graduate, you can still work on that project, because all you need to do is just to ask that, what do you mean by this? There could be a requirement to say, oh, the ledger must be produced every, or maybe quarterly, or must generate, something, or maybe the way they're going to tabulate it. So it could be that all you just need to, could you explain what that means? Could you show me on the system? And by, definitely with that, you'll be able to get what they're trying to say. You will be able to understand the requirement. But assume somebody that is very familiar with all those terminology and vocabulary of the accounting, line profession, definitely it will be easier for them to grasp it easily, because they know what they mean, although they still need to validate it anyway, but at least that. And also, I know I've seen some job adverts that they will say, oh, they need somebody that maybe law as a BA. Yeah, they're applying, they are looking for a BA to come and work in a particular firm, but they are saying they need somebody that maybe read law as first degree, because it could be a law firm, that could be maybe they are doing a project that involves all these law jargons, so they believe that if they have somebody that has that law background, it will be easier for the person to adapt on the project. So that's just the only advantage, that you have when you have that knowledge, that business knowledge, that industry knowledge, definitely it may be easier for that person to, to adapt, on that, and to be successful on that project. But that does not mean that if I don't have a law background, that I will not be successful in that. But it's just that it makes it easier. So that's the only thing there. So you don't need to have IT knowledge. You don't need to have any IT background before you can practice as a PA, because I know a lot of people do ask that. So no, as long as you can, because it just involves, communications, documentation, speaking with people. So, and that's not IT. Yeah, so that's that one. And so like the skills, okay, so the skills that, for you to actually practice it as a BA, you need to have a good communication, both oral and, written. The way you communicate with your stakeholders really matters. and the people that you interact with on the project, your project manager, your project team member, the business users, your project sponsor, the users of the system, the way because they are these are the people that you'll be getting the requirements from, you'll be liaising with to understand what they want. You understand? So you need that, you can't be rude, and there's a way, I don't know how to put it, but there's a way, you need to have that, good communication skills, and the way you interact with people as well. That interpersonal relationship is really matters a lot. You need to be friendly. It's not that definitely it's just because of your project, because when you have that relationship, you have that good rapport with, it could be people that you've never even met before, but the way we relate with them, even at your first meeting, people may think you've known each other, before then. And it could even be probably maybe your approach, how you approach them during the meeting, when you are talking to them, the way you speak. I'm not saying, I don't mean like accents, the way you interact with them, the way you communicate across to them, it really matters, because, body language also speaks, volume as well. So you just need to have that excellent communication, because for you to be able to get your requirement, you need to communicate. So there's no way because if you don't communicate with people, there's no how you're going to, you're going to get your requirements. So that communication is key, to your job. So that's why you need to add that excellent and attention to detail as well. I may not be able to go through all this because we have that in previous videos. So the attention to detail is that, is when they ask you that they need a particular requirement. So if they're saying we need a system to be generating reports, let's say admin reports, or staff, let's say staff attendance reports every 7 a.m. business day. So that's attendance reports, staff attendance reports every 7 a.m. Business day. It has to be business day, like or let's say business day. So that means it's not bank holiday, it's not weekend. So that's what they've specified that they want. So you have to make sure your requirements, you actually specify to reflect that business day, to reflect that 7 a.m. the time, and to reflect which requirement. So you can, I know some people can write, and we need a staff report, staff attendance report to be produced, or for a system to generate it maybe every business day. But you didn't specify the time. That 7 a.m. is key, because for the user to say they need it every 7 a.m. So that means probably maybe every 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock, they do some reporting, and they need that 7 a.m. report, staff attendance report, for them to be able to carry out their tasks at 9 a.m. So you can't miss out that 7 a.m. And at the same time, you can't miss out the business day. So because another person may say, staff attendance report to be generated every 7 a.m. daily. We don't need it daily. We don't need it on weekend. We don't need it on Saturday or Sunday. We only need a business day. Because all this is sometimes the supplier of the system, they may be charging for it. So if we just document something that is not, needed, more or less like waste of, resource or money. So you have to make sure you pay attention to the requirements, and you don't, remove anything from it, like, remove the content like 7 a.m., you remove it from it, or the daily or the timing. So, definitely if they will pass it, that you are going to write it in, any statement that you have to write. But the key information that we need there, we need the priority, we need the timing, we need what we need to produce, like the staff attendance report. So you can't just say they need the reports. So we are now saying staff attendance reports. So not just we need staff reports. So, that's just an example. So the attention today is very critical as well. So documentation, like I said, because once the business users, once they give you these requirements, they will give you verbally. And although some people may write in an email, but it's still not, that's not what you're going to copy in your documents. So you have to make sure, because that documentation of those requirements they've given you verbally, or maybe via email or via document, you still have to put everything together. So you need to have good, writing skills as well. Although now that at least you have like all this, spelling or grammar checks, that can help, but you need to make sure you avoid, all these grammatical mistakes, spelling mistakes. The quality of your documentation needs to be high. Because, when you put the requirements together, it could be you are sending it to an external supplier. How will you feel if your staff is actually sending, maybe a document to a supplier and it has a lot of grammatical spellings? That will, that means the way people will be looking at your, they'll be like, what kind of stuff do they have there? Understand? So it definitely is actually embarrassing, for your documentation to have spelling mistakes and, grammatical errors. So, that is very important. So you have to make sure you look into that. So it's very important. So your writing skills, very important. Stakeholder management, all these people that you liaise with, they are your stakeholders. And I will be honest, definitely there's no how. There are some people that are very, not really, difficult. They are very difficult to work with. You understand? So you have difficult stakeholders and you have people that are nice. So because we are all different, we have different attitudes, so you just need to make sure, because we are different characters, you just need to make sure you are able to manage them. Even if you come across a difficult stakeholder, you need to make sure you manage that person. You are able to get your requirement for that person. You build a good relationship with that person. You get what you want, from that person. So that's really an important something to do. Can you please mute yourself, please? And also, we have analytical and critical thinking. Sometimes they will give you some requirements, and even you hearing that or listening to you would know that this is not, and it's not something that they can train you, but it's something that you would develop it. You have to be able to, if somebody is telling me to actually, I'm trying to look for an example, but there's a way the way you reason actually it matters as well. And because you need to be able to analyze information, the requirement, you need to be able to analyze it as well. So is something that is very key, for you as well to be a BA. The business and industry knowledge we've mentioned that's about you you having a law background, you are working on a law project, or you are a finance person or accountant and you are working on accounting project, so it gives you an edge. So but sometimes they will just say is not compulsory, it's just maybe desirable, so it's not that it's essential. So your investigation technique, because this is how you get your requirements. So the facilitation skills also, because when you're having your workshop, you need to be able to facilitate that workshop. So we use so we don't use say conduct. So you facilitate workshop because you get people together. They will be so you will be brainstorming or maybe asking them questions, just to get that requirements, collaborating together. So conflict management, yeah, so it's team working, because like I said, so you will be working in a team. So it could be a team of 4 or 5, depending, it could be a team of 20, but you'll be working in a team. So you have to you need to have that team, you need to be a team player, you need to, work as a team, you know, with other people, be it your project manager, your developers, your solution architect, you know, just need to have that team spirit within you. So like your roles, this is not like an exhaustive list, but at least just key things that at least I can say. You because as a BA, you will be the one that will be investigating that problem or that business needs. So it's your main task. So they may assign you to a project and say, this is the problem, and this is, they may just give you an overview information about what they're trying to do. But you have to, you know, speak to people to be able to, you know, to understand so what is really happening, what they really want, what their processes are like, you know, what they're trying to achieve. So you just have to be able to do that. And in terms of your stakeholders, you are responsible for your stakeholder. You are responsible to analyze, this is the stakeholder, you know, like this person is as high interest, is just a sponsor. I need to maybe keep this person on my side, or this person has low interest or is not even, you know, interested in the project, but the person has maybe high influence or low influence. You know, although your teammates, they may give you some of this information to say, oh, you need to be careful of this person, you know, because this person is a stakeholder and it has very high influence, but not interested in the project. So just make sure you keep the person on your side, you know, you get the person, you know, you keep the person updated in everything you do. You know, they may just give you that info, just, you know, to say, just be conscious or be aware of that that person. And also they may tell you, they may probably, maybe your project manager will even have a list of stakeholders, will say, okay, these are the people that you need to speak with. In finance, this is the contact person, the SME that you'll be working with. In HR, this is, you know, depending. So you may have this information from other people, but at the same time, you are still responsible for that. So you can say, or you may have to say, how do I identify them? Definitely by the time you know the area, or like the business areas that you'll be working with, the people that are involved in that project, then you can say, okay, for finance, since you said we are going to be delivering some functionalities for our finance team, so who is the contact person that I need to be speaking with? You know, definitely whoever, maybe your project manager, even if you don't know, you can ask your project manager to get the information for you. Yeah, so then definitely the project manager will assist. So that's why you just need that team, you know, definitely. Or it could be a change manager would just say, oh, okay, these are the list of people that we need to work with. Yeah, so that's the part of it. So the requirement solicitation, you know, is the requirement gathering, you know, getting your requirements, you know, from the business users. And also your analysis, you know, once you get those requirements, you still have to analyze the requirements. You need to, you know, do the gap analysis, identify what is missing and what they're trying to, you know, where you want to be. And so like doing the documentation of the business requirements, like I said earlier, you are responsible for that. So be it you are going to send it to external supplier, it's still going to be in-house. Maybe your in-house technical team will be doing, you know, building that, or maybe the you know, working on those requirements. You still have to document it for them, or, you know, at least for sign off. So you still have to document it. And requirements validation is like you validating, you know, those requirements that have been given to you. So you validate this requirement with your business to ensure that nothing, you know, because I just cite an example, like if business users, if they give you a requirement in January, so probably maybe by March, government introduced a new law. And because we are still in the process of documentation, we've not even started, you know, we are not in the design stage yet. So they may, so if I probably maybe within that time, let's say a few weeks gaps, that I'm documenting the requirements, so that the law has changed, maybe some sort of like regulatory. So at least, because once I document my requirement, I still need to send it for approval, for them to review it and to sign it off to say, yes, that is what they want. So if I now send it to them, let's say in March, and law has changed, something has changed in February, So, but I've documented it based on the requirement they give me in January. And so then sending it to them in March to say, okay, can you review it and sign it up? So they may come back to me and say, Abiola, you know what? We need to change this requirement 2.12 or two, these few requirements, these 3 requirements, because government just introduced a new regulatory requirements and we need to make sure we fulfill it. So this is going to change. So that means those requirements we need to change. So that means they will not give me a new requirement, what will amend it. Then I need to redocument, those 3 requirements that have changed. That I need to then send it again to them to say, okay, is everything okay now? Then they can approve it. So the essence is just, to ensure that, because sometimes when they give you the requirements at the initial stage, they may not really, probably maybe they don't really have enough information or they don't really know much, or just based on what they know, that's what they're giving you. So maybe they've spoken with somebody else after that, or maybe they've had a meeting and they just realize that, oh, something have changed. They may not come to you to say, oh, Abiola, the requirements I gave to you last week, I actually made a mistake. They may not, but the process of you sending the documentation of those requirements that the person has given to you, sending it back to them, then they can now use that opportunity to say, actually, can you change this requirement? There was a mistake here. We need to change it to this. So that is that's one of the things, reasons why you need to, do that validation, because it helps the business user to actually, revalidate, check, go over what they've given you, at least to ensure, because, once they sign it up and maybe the technical team or the supplier implement it, for them to change it again is going to cost them money. So, and, or you have to go through all this change request process and all those things. So yeah, requirements validation is a key step, during your requirements documentation. Yeah, so wait more. So I think I will, yeah, so let's see if you have any question. Let's see. Any questions so far? No. Okay, we are good. Yeah, that's fine. So we are good. Yeah. Okay, that's fine. If you have any question, you can just pop it in there. We'll go by it later. Maybe I'll check back again around 19. Okay. Okay, so let me minimize this. Okay, so there are so many keywords, that you need to be familiar with, as a BA. There are so many keywords, but these are just few that I think I can mention to you at the moment. So, elicitation, like I said, that we often use that, as a BA, for gathering. It's just like requirements, elicitation, requirements gathering. So we use that, instead of gathering. So, excuse me, just in case if somebody say, oh, requirement elicitation, it's just gathering, it's just English anyway. And Moscow, we use that to prioritize our requirements. So for your requirement to be correct or to be accurate, you need to prioritize it. So the M starts for must, should, could, would not have. So the must, so I may say, the system must generate staff attendance report every 7 a.m. Working day. So that means it is a must. They just have to make sure that is produced, or that feature is there. They build that feature in the system, so it's a must for that system to work. And the should could be, is not something that we need now. So it could be something that maybe the project may be faced, but probably maybe they're going to deliver some features, maybe in January, some features are going to be rolled out in maybe February, or maybe let's say another, let's say April, And some are just like maybe it could be just two phases. So I may have some requirements that will say must, they have to deliver it. So must, that means by that time they're rolling out that January, they have to, it has to, they need to have it. So it's more or less like the, like a prioritization. So you have very important, not that important, less important. It's like if you have it, fine. If not, so code could be like nice to have. It's just like, if you can do it, fine. If not, it's not the end of the world. So, and once like, okay, we are not having it now, so that means we don't need it now. So it's good, maybe whenever they need it. Amen. So it's more or less like must, should, could. So when you are documenting your requirements, so it needs to have either must or should or could. That won't have, we don't usually use it, but if you have to, fine. So, but most times usually like must, should, could. And sometimes it depends on the organization. They use like 1, 2, 3 to do their prioritization. So they may do system generates staff attendance report every 7 a.m. Then they'll put 1 or 2. So that 1 means it's equivalent to must. It's like the highest priority. Then the should is equivalent to that 2. Then the 3 is could. So they usually use 1 to 2, 1, 2, 3 instead of must, should, could. So that is that. So your must go is for prioritizing your requirement. So facilitate, like I said earlier, when you're conducting your workshop, you facilitate. So even when you go for an interview also, then you can say, I do facilitate workshops, So you use that workshop. So workshop is like facilitate is like a terminology that you use, along the workshop line. So the BPMN, that's business process modeling notation. So you have all those ones in your Visio. Is like like shapes or diagram. So notation, yeah. So your business users, there's the people using, operating or giving you the requirements, or maybe using that system that you want to, or it may not even be system, it could be anything. So just user. So then you have your project sponsor, yes. So you have your stakeholder. So you categorize. So your project sponsor is still part of your stakeholder. Your user, definitely they're still part of your stakeholder as well. And so we've mentioned the gap analysis, the business processes. Like how you model your process. So if you watch like the previous video that I mentioned earlier, so definitely you see all the details of this. I think you have more detailed information about all these keywords. And your swim lane is, that also relates to the business process modeling. You have your swim lane, like a swimming pool. You have like a pool, you have lane. So, but if you watch that previous classes, definitely you understand all these things. Like your Epic is like a large user storage, which you can still break down to more user stories. And your user story, I think we have an example of it later in the slide, so you will get that. And RECI is also, the RECI is also the, the roles, in a project, like you have responsible, accountable, consulted, and informed. So you have, so when you are on a project, so they may say gathering requirements, so the responsibility. So when they say responsible, so the responsible, that would be for a BA, so it will be her, that R will be for the BA, because the BA will be responsible for gathering requirements, and the accountable could be, the project manager, because the project manager will be accountable for, that project and your requirements. And maybe consultant could be, all this. So you could have, so it's more or less like roles in there. So SDLC is the software development lifecycle. We have something on that later on as well. And also you have UML. So it's part of the more or less like how you use that to represent your processes and your interaction with the system as well. So your as is also means like current, like what you have at the moment. So I could say the as is process is that when somebody places an order, it generates an email, and the printout or the accounting department prints out that may be the assist process at the moment. So, and the to be, which is future, how you want it to work in the future is probably maybe when the system places an order, automatically generates an email to maybe to the accounting system. The accounting system pass it on to the warehouse team. So it could be, you have some gaps, from your HACCPs and to be. So definitely that's how, because sometimes when your stakeholders, they may tell you, okay, this is how it's being done at the moment. So this is how we want it to work in the future, or you may be involved. Definitely you could be probably maybe documenting, you want to understand how the process, could you tell me how the process works at the moment? What is the customer journey? Can you explain the customer journey to me? So maybe at the moment, how does it work? So that is my current, so that is my as is. So my to be is that, okay, now how do we want it to work in the future? So which is your to be, which will be something that you will be helping the business to deliver. So to be future, assist is current. So your artifacts will be, your deliverables, like your business requirement document, your wireframe, your, all those document deliverables. Wireframe is usually use a wireframe when you are doing digital project. You may be asking, what is a digital project? Like when you are doing, maybe designing sort of like a web, something that is more or less like, let's say, you want to develop or maybe do sort of like an enhancement on maybe Tesco, online websites, So that's more or less, it's going to be a digital project, because it's like system interaction, because you will need a wireframe for that kind of a project, because the layouts, because when you click on maybe baskets, it could be display something, but how do you want to write down on a document in the requirements? So you need sort of like a graphical or visual, diagram or representation to show all those. When you click on this, what displays, when you click on that, what pop-ups, things like that. Anyway, so you have your prototype, you have your smart. Your smart is also something they said your requirement needs to be smart. So it has to be specific. You need to be able to measure it. Your requirement needs to be something that you can achieve, something that is realistic. And also they will say time bound or time box. So, but everything, all these keywords, you'll find it in that textbook that I showed earlier. The workshop is one of the one of the techniques as well that you can use to gather your requirement. The BRD, when you hear BRD, is business requirements documents. Business requirement documents, that's the document that you document all your requirements. So sometimes it could be Microsoft Word, and some people, to be honest, some people use Excel. So it depends. So the pain points are like, like what are the the things that that you actually want to work on. So yeah. So let's see. So this is more or less like high level categorization of the requirements. So we have functional requirements and non-functional requirements. And your functional requirements are something that that you want the system to do. You want the system to do. Like I said, the system must generate staff attendance reports. We can say the system must maybe generate or the system must produce let's say maybe have specific roles, like user role. You should be able to, should be a role-based, access. You should have a role-based access, on the system. It could be that you want the system to, to probably have, maybe blue background, things like that. So it could be anything. So the non-functional requirements, maybe something like how you want the system to behave, something you can't really, not that you can't really test it, but for example, it may, as a user may not be able to see all those things like that. For example, user can easily test that maybe does it generate the report, does it maybe have a blue background. But the non-functional requirements are something like availability, let's say reliability, that they want the system to be up and running 99.9%, or they want the system to be, the response time to be 0.0003 milliseconds, those things, user cannot really test it like that. I mean, the business users, they can't really see all those things because those things are background, although they will know when the system is down. But that those availability, all those technical things like serviceability, recoverability, restoration, all those things, how that okay, once the system is down, you want to be able to recover it maybe within 15 minutes, depending on the criticality, all those things like liability, you have a lot of it like that. So all those things like that are non-functional requirements. So, but that's why definitely once you listen to the previous videos, the ones that has like maybe like class 1 to class 6, you have all those detailed information in there, and I think various examples as well. So these are core BA deliverables, but it depends on the organization that you work, because there are some organizations, they may have some other documentation that they still need their BA to produce, like the business requirement documents. So some people, they document it in Excel, some people it could be Microsoft Word, some even do it in PowerPoint. But it depends on the template or the what they have in place in the organization that you work and your requirements. So it could be that you have like high-level requirements. So high-level requirements is more or less like, it's not really detail, it's more or less like categorization of the of the requirements. So it could be maybe like like when I say high level, so it could be like they summarize all the requirements to maybe about 10. Meanwhile, if you now want to do the low level, that 10 requirements, that 10 high level requirement, you may still break it down to like 50. So that is just different. You have a detailed requirement. So sometimes they use a high level requirements, maybe for business case approval, or maybe for resource, or it's not something that, or it could be something that they just need, maybe a ballpark, maybe from the supplier, they just need to put something together for them to have like a ballpark of how something like that is going to cost them. So by the time they now so they will still need to document the detailed requirement, which will now specify all the all the detail, everything that they need. So yeah, so that's just the difference. So then your requirement, you have your functional requirement that you mentioned earlier, you have your non-functional requirements, and your non-functional requirements also, and your functional, they still need to have that, the priorities as well. So whether it's a must for your non-functional or should, yeah. So you have your process flows, process map is like a sequence of the tags, of that particular, activity that you do. So I think we have that. So usually use Visio for that. So the user stories, these are more or less like, a role base, like, okay, the user, maybe you can say an accountant as an accountant, I want to be able to do this, but I think we have an example of that later. Then the acceptance criteria, also you need to document this for your requirements, because this is what the business users, they're going to use to accept that system, to test whether what it has been delivered, is actually, what they requested. And the criteria is more or less like the criteria they are going to use, to accept the system. So we usually use this acceptance criteria during user acceptance testing. So this is when the user will be testing the system by themselves to ensure that, okay, they can do all their activities or their tasks. So the requirement traceability matrix, Also is not all the BA, not all the you know, indoor, or let me say organization actually produce, but it depends. So they may ask you to use this. Some people have software, they have some application that they use for this requirement traceabilities, and some people use Microsoft Excel just to carry it out. So it depends on the organization. And so like the business case, usually PM, but so they may need BA to support them. And sometimes they will say they need a BA to document the business case. So, but usually the organization usually have like a template or sample, then you can use that to document that. The wireframe, like I said, not all projects that you document wireframe for. So you can use, so like there are some projects that you don't need to do any wireframe, but usually any digital project you need, you need a wireframe. And test plan and test cases, these are usually like the software tester or the quality engineer, they call them. So these are the things that they do. Sometimes on the project, they may have to document it as a BA. They may ask you, the BA, to document these test cases. So if they don't have a tester, so they may ask you to document it. So it all depends on the setting of the organization. And the business impact analysis also, sometimes you have some organization, they document this impact analysis, and some, they don't even do it. So it all depends. So, and there could be some other documentation that some BAs, they do in their organization that I've not listed here, but it's so, the core ones are just the one that I showed earlier. And so, like I said, the software that you need to know it as a basic is the Visio one, the MS Office. So the MS Office, so the Microsoft Visio, you can get that. I know you can get that on. You can get the application, I'm sure, on internet. You just need to get the license, and I know which is still I know is affordable. I'm sure there are some that were going for, I think maybe £10 or less than that, you know, some time ago, some years back. So just to, you know, just maybe like one user license, you know, on that Microsoft Visio, but at least you can search online. So so this is what you need to use to map your processes. So you need, and trust me, if you watch video of how the map process is something that you can learn on, at least from my perspective, it's something that you can learn under 1 hour. For me, under 1 hour, you can learn how to do the basic, you know, mapping a process. Once you know what each shape represents, to be honest, less than 1 hour, you can learn that. So you need it, so you can install it on your personal laptop and just practice with this, I'm sure, because you need that Microsoft, you need to be able to map processes. And I think some organizations, they may have other things that they use to map processes, but the basic one and the common one that a lot of organizations do use is the Microsoft Visio. So you just need to get that license and install it, and you can just play with it. And the Microsoft Word, like I said, you use that to document your requirements. And some people use Excel at the same time. And you can document your acceptance criteria in Excel or Microsoft Word. It depends on the template that you have in the organization. And the Balsamiq and the Sketch is also used for the wireframing as well. So, but they are not like where I'm working at the moment, to be honest, I've never used that Balsamiq for years now, or Sketch, because I didn't have cost to use it. And also sometimes your organization may have something else that they use for another tool or application they use for wireframing. Framing. So it just depends on what you use, but all these ones are free. So you can download it and play with it online. So yes. So, but the key ones are just the Microsoft applications that you have here. Okay, yeah, so investigation techniques. Okay, let me check if we have any question before we proceed. You don't have any question? Okay, that's fine. Okay. Yeah, okay, that's fine. So I guess everybody is fine. Okay. Yeah, so we'll continue. And so these are the investigation techniques that you can use to elicit your requirements. So why do you investigate? So the purpose of your investigation is to, to understand the business needs, to understand the problem they're having at the moment. So it's to help you, because for you to be able to document your requirements or to map your processes, you need to investigate, you need to ask that, you need to find out what is really happening. And also you have different types of investigation. So you have sometimes, so they could say they're having a problem or they need something, but they don't really know. They may say they need a new HR system or maybe accounting package to use for their, maybe posting their ledger, but they don't know which one they need to go for. So they may just give you some basic, like maybe like high-level requirements that they want to be able to post a ledger, to be able to, do a automatically do regulatory reporting, things like that. So they may give you just like high-level requirements, but they don't have any clue of which of these applications that they have that they want to use. So they may say, just search for us. So what you need to do, you may have to do your research. You need to go online, Google on how you can, let's say, ledger posting application. So you have to read through, you have to, then you come up with like, you shortlist like maybe you could be 4 or maybe 5 different applications. Then they may say, okay, you need to write maybe request for proposal, maybe you have to document something like that for request for proposal. You may have to reach out to this maybe 5 companies that you've shortlisted, and for them to be able to come and give a demo on maybe what their application can do and how it can be used for posting a ledger. So this may involve you researching. So that's your way of investigating, So, and sometimes they may have an idea of what they actually want. They may have an idea saying, okay, we know about 3 systems, but we don't know which one we need to use. But definitely we still need to write, business requirements or maybe request for proposal for these 3 3 suppliers to send us a proposal, or documentation on how this is going to work. You may even invite them for demo. So yeah, so there could be different ways that you can, carry out all this activity. So questionnaire usually, sometimes when it involves something like a data, when it involves like people, you have a lot of people that you need to reach out to, to get information. So for example, probably maybe you are doing some analysis about maybe how people are using the internet, or how many applications are users or the system users are using, maybe different departments. So it may be difficult for you to go to have interview with or workshop with everybody in the organization. So maybe it could be that you are going to draft a questionnaire and send it to these various business areas to say for them to complete. Then once they submit it back, then you cannot analyze the information to see that what is the commonality or whatever you are looking for. Then you can use this to actually, document your requirements, because probably maybe you are just trying to look up how you can bring all the systems together. Then with the outputs of all the questionnaires, then you can, probably maybe document your requirements to say, okay, you can propose a solution saying this is what the system we need, maybe we need one platform to put all the, it depends. So some cases you may have to use questionnaire. So you may not be able to do interview for, to get all your requirements. And sometimes, the workshop is like when you have multiple people, at the maybe to get your information from. So sometimes you may think is probably maybe is just better, to bring every one of them together. Then you can brainstorm together, ask them questions, because there could be an application that HR is using it, accounting is using it, also maybe facility is also the staff are using it. So and you want to investigate about this. So it's an opportunity for you to bring every one of them together, and then you can get your requirements from them. And there's a way you can plan that in a workshop as well. There are some things that you need to do. And also shadowing, sometimes it's difficult to get requirements from some people or for them to explain how they do things. So, but when you shadow them, you can understand the process, because you may be asking somebody a question, but the way they explain may not really be easy to understand. So, but when you shadow them, you see how they do it, then maybe that particular task, then you get better understanding of how they are doing it. And scenario analysis, that's also something that you investigate as well. Another technique. Interviews is a common one that you talk to people, maybe one-to-one, or maybe like two people in the same room. You ask them questions, you tell them about what you're trying to do, and you plan, you send them invites. So there are so many things, different techniques that you can use. So you just need to determine what fits what you are trying to do, and you need to determine yourself whether you want to use the interview, or you want to use research, or you need to use questionnaire or workshop. Your manager is not going to tell you, or project manager is not going to tell you have to use workshop or you have to do interview, but you have to decide what you think it suits what you are trying to do at that particular time or that project, whether you need to do questionnaire or you want to do one-to-one interview or workshop. So your interview is, and then you need to determine who do you need to interview and why you are interviewing them. So definitely you need to understand. So it's not just interviewing just anyhow person, but you need to know the reason why you are interviewing them. Then what exactly, you understand, and when do you want to interview them, and also the location as well that you need to interview. So we have detailed explanation on this, on the videos, the classes that we've done previously. So you can listen to that. And so, like, if you want to do your interview, you have to make sure you plan the interview. So, like I do say that you can't say you need somebody to interview. You want somebody to attend an interview tomorrow, and you are just sending meeting invites or requests for the person you are just inviting the person to attend interview like a day before. No, you have to plan ahead. You have to, because these people, they will have some other things as well. They will have their day-to-day job. So you need to try and make sure you give enough time, for them. You check their calendars to see that they have that availability. Because I know some people, they just put an interview, they don't even check the people's calendar. Because when you're working in an organization, you have access to their calendar. You may not see the content, but you will see whether that person is available or not. Because if you don't check their calendar, how will you know whether that person is available on that day? Whether that person is on leave, you don't know. Whether that person has even left the organization. So you need to always check the calendars of the person that you want to interview to see the availability. And, before you can put something, because if you send an invite to me and maybe I already have a clash, I would decline it. But I will expect you to, because I would have expected you, to check my calendar to see whether I'm available or I'm booked for that time at all, or maybe I'm double booked. So it's essential that you need to check the calendars of the person you want to interview or invite to the interview before sending them meeting invites, to attend interviews. So because sometimes, to be honest, it's not really it's not something I like as well. When somebody sends me an invite and I'm double booked already, I'm like, didn't you check my calendar to see whether I'm available or not, So it's always good for you to, and that also sometimes can set a wrong thing, so send a wrong signal to the person. So, and the duration of the interview must not be more than 1 hour, because some, imagine you asking me question, interviewing me, interrogating me for more than 1 hour, man. That would be boring and tiring. So that's why sometimes your interview could be 30 minutes, it could be 45 minutes, but don't let it exceed 1 hour. No. The location of the interview, you can do it. It's always advisable that sometimes you should do it in your in your customer or your business, in the stakeholders environment, maybe their floor or their it could be their meeting room, on the same floor, because it could be in a different maybe building, because you can't expect the stakeholder to come to your, assuming that one person is in Stratford, you have an office in Stratford, and you have another office in let's say central London, or let me just say let's say I'm trying to do, let's say Cannon Street. You understand? You have another office location there. You are based in Cannon Street. You can't expect somebody, your stakeholder that is in Stratford, to come and meet you in Cannon Street. No. As a BA, you would rather travel down to that Stratford to meet that person. That's if you cannot do it online. You understand? So it's always good to do it in their own environment. And also the structure of the interview, like when you have your introduction to explain to them, because if I'm or maybe new to a project and meeting the stakeholder for the first time, definitely in the invite, I would have introduce myself and give a brief description, like an overview of what we're going to discuss. So you introduce yourself, then the essence of the interview and what you're trying to achieve. And so so that's what at least the structure you have, like opening, the body, and then the closing. Then you conduct the interview, you ask them the questions, and after that, you still need to make sure you let them know the next steps of action. It's not just that they gather the requirements and they don't know what is going to happen next. So you need to let them know that, okay, in 5 days time, or maybe 2 weeks time, I will send you the documentation of these requirements, and I want you to review it maybe within the maybe 72 hours. I will expect you to respond back to let me know whether you're happy with it. You just need to let them be aware of the next steps, of what is going to happen. And also, so you follow up as well. So like what I mean by that follow up is that once you conduct the interview, maybe once you get back to your desk, you can just send them like, oh, thank you so much for for attending, for your time today. I will be sending this. Then you will now reiterate what you mentioned during the interview, and maybe in the closing of the interview, say, I will draft out these requirements and I will send you the documents within the next 2 weeks, and I will expect you to review it and get back, just like like if I'm attending an interview, and if you send me like like thank you message and give me all the steps, is I will appreciate it better than you just gathering requirement from me and you just let it like that. I don't even know what is happening. I cannot even get anything like, oh, thanks for your time earlier. It's always a plus for you as well. It builds that relationship as well. And assess, okay, yes, let's see. So if we can answer this question, so let's see, let me see whether, yeah. So let me see if I can move this. Okay. So what can be used to prioritize business requirements? You can put your responses in the chat box. Okay, so the name of the textbook, I'm sure if you go over through this the video, maybe once they upload it to the YouTube, you'll be able to see the textbook. It's the BC Hayes business analyst textbook, business analysis textbook. Yeah, the Balsamiq is an application that they use for wireframing to do all this sketch and so, but it's not something I can teach you on that, but you can Google on maybe Balsamiq and just try to play with that, but you can just watch something on YouTube for the Balsamiq. But once you understand what the wireframing is, it now depends on what application they're using in the organization. Yes, which you can use, yes, yeah, once, okay, yeah. So Moscow, yeah. So what does Moscow, okay, we say must, should, could, have, okay. And okay, so the W, so they'll say once, as in WON, would not have. That's what some people do it. So once have. So yeah, once, yeah. So when you say the 3 investigation techniques, you can list 3. Interview, workshop, questionnaire, any other? Questionnaire, research, prototype. Okay, yeah, shadowing, yeah, good. And so mention a word that can be used to replace current in process modeling. Oh yeah, good. Current in process modeling. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, well done. Okay, so let's see where we are. Yeah, well done to everyone that's participated. Okay, so we'll go maybe 10 more slides. We'll see whether we can rush through this. Okay. So the business process, so I think I've mentioned this briefly, is the sequence of activities or tasks that you carry out, like when we say to place an order, maybe to like the process of placing an order on maybe Tesco website. What is the process? So you may probably, maybe you are working on a project, maybe an enhancement of customer experience on Tesco website. So it could, you could be employed to work on that project. So, but you need to understand what they have at the moment, how the process works at the moment, and what they want to do about the enhancement. So you will need to understand, say, okay, you can now ask maybe probably somebody that knows about how the process works. You can say, could you tell me how the process of placing an order, how it works? And it could even be the back end, activities, like maybe so you want to understand the head to end, and it could be just maybe a section of that process. It could be just placing an order to checkout, and it could be from customer checkout to delivery. So you need somebody to explain, the sequence of activities that happens, for that. So you can now say probably maybe the customer needs to register first. Once they register, they can register as a maybe guest, or they can, then what did they do next? Okay, once they register, they select their order. And once they finish, it will prompt them, continue shopping, or you want to check out. If they want to check out, maybe they click on checkout. If they want to continue shopping, it will take them back to the home page. It's like mapping all these activities that happen, end to end of that particular where you're maybe placing an order. So once you say checkout, so what happens? So it's prompt them to it will ask them whether they want to do pay for delivery, or they want to wait, whether they have a club card or something like that. So then what happens if they don't have? Maybe another question will come up. If they have club card, what happens? That process, because you need to understand, how it works, before you can even discuss of how it's going to work. So that's the modeling. So the modeling of that business process, that's what we use the Visio from. So we use that Visio to model that process. You have the boxes, the decision making, So, but like I said, because it's just one class, we can't go through, that Visio. So that's the business process modeling. So, and like the question, why do we model? So because it will help us. Sometimes, instead of me reading the requirements, once I see the process map or the process flow that you have, I will understand how you do that thing, within that organization, how the customer places an order, or maybe the process of customer placing checkouts and delivery, how it happens within the backend. The warehouse system, does the system generates maybe an email to the accounting department to say this process payment has gone through? Does the accounting department forwards an email or like a transcript to the warehouse, for them to be able to pack? Does maybe the warehouse has a list of, rota of the drivers or different areas? All those things that happens at the back end, then I will be able to know, even the front end as well. But what I'm trying to say is that you'll be able to understand how things work, despite the fact that you are not a Tesco staff, but you still know how it works once you see the process maps or the process flow. So that's that. And you need to you must learn or you need to know how to do this process mapping. And there are some rules that they just want you to map processes of what they have at the moment, and they're to be processed. Sometimes they employ people just for that. To be honest, easy peasy, very easy job when you just map processes. Very easy. In fact, it's the easiest that I would say. Okay, so we have different business modeling that we can do. You can use flowcharts. So you can use your use case diagram. So where you have, see the interaction, of the users with the system. You have your cross-functional is the one that involves the swim lane. And you have your context diagram is like high level, like level 0. And your symbols, you have that symbols. You can find these symbols in your Microsoft Visio application. So like I said earlier, your user story is like, I can say, as a customer or as a consumer, I can say as a consumer, I want to make a payment, or I want to pay with credit. I want to pay with MasterCard, so that I can maybe I can check out or something like that. So it's just a sense of the type of user. Because you have different, like I said, when you are doing the system, when you're writing your requirement, sometimes it could be from different roles perspective. So it could be that the same requirements could be maybe like if you need a feature, maybe generate like the staff attendance reports. So probably it could be you want it for a particular something for different reason. So like the manager, let's say your HR manager may need the same, probably the same, maybe the same, what's it called? The same as a finance manager or HR manager. I want to do that. They may need it for different thing, the different, let's say different, was a different reason or outcome. and they may want to do some particulars. But what I'm trying to say is that, you know, like as a whole, then what exactly do you want the system to do for you? I want, let's say, staff attendance report so that I can report on the staff, maybe on the staff punctuality or on the staff performances. So the same, maybe HR administrator may need this particular, as a HR administrator, I want staff attendance report so that I can, maybe generate, let's say, maybe reports for the hiring manager or for each manager. So you could have need the same report for different reasons. So, but it could be at the same time, it could be different requirements for different things. But it's just that once you write it from that perspective, sometimes this particular user story, the user story, it helps the developers to understand the requirements. Because sometimes when you just write it like in a statement, like one line statement, sometimes it's confused that they may not really understand it. But when they see it in this form of user story, it helps them, it gives them a better understanding, and they understand it better. They may not even need to come because they know what you're trying to say. And they can use this actually when they do their coding, or they can try to, you know, carry out, simulate some of these activities to ensure that that particular features is actually working, or maybe that functionalities that they've, you know, developed, maybe the HR manager can do what they want, and whereas the administrator can also do, you know, what they want as well. So it depends. So it just gives better, like, it's not like a better, it gives more information about your requirements. So yeah, that's it. I think we've discussed this earlier, the acceptance criteria, and you need to document your acceptance criteria before the product or they developed, or maybe roll out the or let me say implement or do the testing. Because when you document your acceptance criteria, it will help the developer or the technical team to know what the user is going to use to test the criteria. So they can use this acceptance criteria as well, you know, to actually help them during the coding or the product development. So it helps them as well. Yeah, so that's just a sample, but there's not much time to go through that one. So like I said, we have that in the detailed 6 classes video. And so then, like, you are responsible to facilitate the user acceptance testing as well. You know, like, you've documented the requirement. That does not mean that your job ends there. If you're still on that project, sometimes they may move you from that project and ask you to, you know, to go and work on another project. But if you're still on that project, and definitely because you're still liaising the developer or the supplier, still working on that requirements, on, you know, on the requirement, those requirements that you've submitted, maybe now it's not time for the user to probably maybe to test it. So you will be liaising, the technical team will be liaising to you to say, oh, Abiola, so next 2 weeks is the products will be ready for user acceptance testing. Can you arrange a session with your stakeholders then, because they have to be involved as well. The technical team also needs to be there to be able to, sometimes they may need to do the demo, and sometimes they may not really need to do the demo because the users, they know how they're going to, you know, maneuver their way around the system. So, but it's just that you need to ensure that you inform your stakeholders so that they can set out time, and you can even plan it in the calendar to say UAT sessions. You know, you can, you know, make sure you have the you plan that. You may even have it in a meeting room. You know, you have the users, you know, in attendance, and they do the testing, they test all the criterias. And yes, so when you schedule the UAT sessions, you must have definitely reviewed the the test cases or the acceptance criteria before then. And so once you conduct the UAT, the users testing, and if they're happy with it, they will say, yes, we are happy. Then you still need to write it an email saying, following up from the session that we had earlier, could you please confirm that you are happy to sign up this product, blah, blah, blah. So, and they will be able to tell you whether they have any reservations or they're happy to sign it up. And if it happens that they still have some few things that they are not happy with, then probably maybe at the end of that session, you just say, maybe following up from the session that we just had, I will liaise with the developers to rectify the item, maybe the criteria 3, 4, and 7 has discussed earlier, and I will try and arrange another time, maybe next week, for us to test this again. Just depending, but because the most important thing, the ultimate, is that you want to get a sign off to say, yes, job well done, you've done the job, and that's closed. Then maybe somebody else needs to do the whatever that needs to be done after that. But the thing is that you get that thing accepted. It's just like you delivered a project or a product, and the user is happy with what you've delivered, and that's the takeoff. So yes, I think this, we may not really have much time to discuss this. It's just the life cycle on when you are, because most times your project may involve just like a development, like a software, life cycle. And so, but not all projects that, have to involve this software. Sometimes it could just be a regulatory project that you don't even need, and you don't need to do any software. You don't need to build any system for. So it depends. You have different projects. So not all the time that you have something that you have to develop a new system. No. So sometimes it could just be regulatory checks, or it could be something. It could just be process mapping, no enhancement to the system. So these are the stages. So you gather the requirements, the design. Once you pass that, so then the developer will do the designing developments, then they will test it, then they will roll it out to the system, the users, then the maintainers. So I think we do. So these ceremonies are just like the Scrum. So sometimes you may have to involve in agile projects. So you have to, as a BA, you still need to familiarize yourself. You need to familiarize yourself with these ceremonies. You don't need to know the detail, but just understand it, just have an idea. So the sprint planning, that is what you would do before before you embark on that sprint. And the daily Scrum is the 15 minutes that they will ask you, okay, this is what I did yesterday. Yesterday, I documented the requirements with the finance team. And today, I'm meeting with maybe the HR team to discuss their requirements or to map their processes. And I don't have any blocker at the moment, or I have a blocker, So it's just to tell you to give an update, like a short one. So it could even be 30 seconds or 1 minute to say, okay, this is what you've done yesterday. This is what you're going to do today. And if you have any impediments at the moment. So yeah. So, and it involves your sprint team. So like your sprint team could be maybe 5 to 9 people. So it will be your developer, the BA, the tester, the Scrum Master, the product owner. Also, sometimes they do attend. So it's just for you to understand what this, because if you are working on a agile project, so you will be having that stand-up. So it just depends on the project that you're working. Then the sprint review, that's where you actually, more or less like only show and tell, what you've done for that within that sprint. And your sprint could be 1 week. Some sprints could be 2 weeks, 4 weeks. So depending on your Scrum team setup. And same also the retrospective as well. So it's also more or less like lesson learned. So what needs to be done, what you need to do better, and trying to review all the things that that maybe you've done in that, so that you can probably maybe adopt a new process or something, or maybe apply what you've learned. So it's just it's not really, but as a BA, you just need to have an idea, just have an idea of what it's all about. That's just the essence. So not really be core BA stuff. And so, yeah, I think that's that one. So collaboration too. I'm sure during the internship, you'll be using one of these collaboration tools. So the commonly used one, I think Jira. I know a lot of organizations also use the Confluence and Azure DevOps. So it's where you put your user stories, your requirements, your product backlog is there. So you can do backlog grooming, and you do your, so you can assign tags. You can see the status of each requirement of each task the developer is working on, who is doing what, and probably the stages as well, whether it has been done, whether they're still doing it, whether that is completed. So it's the collaboration to boss. I'm sure you will use one of these during your internship. Yes, so once you complete your project, some projects, they may ask you to carry out a benefit realization, like it's like a post project. You know, now that we've delivered the system, so they may say we want to carry out benefit realization, because during your business case, you would have mentioned that, so once we do this project, maybe it will save us maybe 525 hours a year, or maybe in 6 months, or in a month, you know, or maybe it's going to save in maybe in monetary value. So now it's just, so the realization is to measure whether that benefit has been realized. So that's just this. But you can't carry out your benefit realization immediately after the project. No, at least you have to wait for maybe 1 month. And it depends on the project, you know, because there's a way you have to measure it, because you have to measure, it has to be something that you can measure. For example, maybe we introduce, for example, maybe a Power BI, we develop something like you know, all this MI reporting. Probably, maybe the accounts department, the finance department, they do produce like a weekly report for different parts of the organization to know how much their staff cost, the resource, you know, the budget allocation, how much they've spent, you know, every week or every month. And probably maybe the finance team, maybe the administrator do spend like 5 hours every week. Maybe somebody to spend, maybe the finance manager do spend like 30 minutes every day. Another person. So all these things. So now that means you do their like what the manual effort, what they were spending before. So you have to convert it to a monetary, you know, value. So 30 minutes, there will be sort of like an hourly rate for it's not necessarily that the finance manager has to be contractor. As the permanent staff, there will be a particular portion that they will say, okay, maybe the finance manager hour cost maybe £200. So yes, so then you can say 30 minutes is £100. So you will now say £100 every day. So over 22 days, that's 2,200 that's costing. But now that we've rolled out a system that is generating the reports, you know, doing all this reporting for this team, how many minutes is the finance manager still spending for this particular task? Maybe the finance manager just get an email authorization to say accept, which is just maybe 2 minutes or 5 minutes. So that means we will say if the manager is spending 30 minutes maybe 30 minutes is 1 hour, now he's spending five minutes, that means we divide that 100 by 6. So which is still about less than £18. Yeah, if I'm right, less than 18, about 18 pounds. Yeah, let's say about 18 or 17 pounds something. So that means £100 is now down to 17 pounds. So that means and that's the per day. So imagine per day. So £100 was spending £100 times 1022, 2,200. Now 17 times 22, that's still less than £400. So that means we are saving about 1,800 on finance manager alone every month since we've been using the Power BI solution. So likewise, they will do the same for the, all the people, within that finance team, how much have you saved in finance alone? So in a month, you may realize that you are now saving maybe about £10,000, since you've adopted new solution, which is a good project, because if you're saving about £10,000 in one department alone, because you've actually introduced, the long term, definitely the project manager, how they do the costing, definitely is a good, so you can say you are realizing the benefit. So that is how you carry out your benefit realization, because you have to do it in terms of, monetary value as well and time. And yes, and I think, yeah, that's it. Any question? Yes, that's the end. Any question? Okay, let me get to this. From the period of product support delivery to benefit. Oh yes, as long as you are still in the organization, they will pay you. If they want you to actually, and even while they're doing the benefits realization, they may place you on another project that you should be doing another project, but at the same time, maybe as side tasks, they may ask you to carry out the benefits realization. So yes, as long as you are in the organization, you will be paid, whether you're a contractor or permanent, they will still pay you. So the Scrum is one of the agile methodologies. So yeah, so it's one of the agile methodologies. And also, what's a major difference between, oh yeah, a Scrum Master, they do call it like servant leader. Like the Scrum Master, this is the person that will be facilitating all the Scrum events, will be, if they have any blocker or any issue, that maybe that is stopping them from doing the job. So this Scrum Master will be the one that will be liaising to help them unblock it. Maybe they need a new tool, or maybe the Scrum Master will be working with the product owner as well, because the Scrum Master is more or less like it's not a project manager, but at least sometimes they do that. It's similar, but they are not project manager, more or less like, because they are the one facilitating the Scrum team, which involves the developer, the tester. Sometimes the BA forms a part of the Scrum team, and sometimes they don't. So the Scrum Master is, but the BA, you are the one responsible for the requirement. Scrum Master does not even have anything to do with requirements, because they are not even doing the one doing the, doing the requirement. They are just facilitating. They are responsible to ensure that the products, what they need to deliver must, by the development team, they've actually done it, to say, okay, my Scrum team, we've delivered this product A. The next step, they will take the next one, we just be coordinating that, all the Scrum events, all these Scrum ceremonies, the person will be the one, facilitating all those daily stand-up and sprint planning, but we'll be working together with the developer and the team. And is business design the same as business analysis? No, it's not. Waterfall model popular, still popular? Yes, yeah, it depends on the project. There are some projects you can't use Agile for. There are some projects you just need to use Waterfall. Most times when it's a big projects, and there's a way, but there are some projects you can't use Agile for. You just have to use Waterfall, and there are some that Agile is better. So it just depends, but definitely the project manager or they would decide on whether they want to use, whether it's Waterfall model that fits that particular project, or they will just do the Agile, they will use the Agile methodology. So it depends. Scrum is a framework. Yes, okay, yeah. Can it be a carry out the DCL Scrum Master? Yeah, sometimes you have you have some job wherever that they will say they need a BA/Scrum Master. If you have the if you have the skills, fine, you can. And I know I've done that in the past because I was employed as a BA, but at the same time, I was actually carrying out the role of a Scrum Master. So at least because I know some, few bits and bobs about that, so I was able to still carry out that Scrum Master role. So sometimes they will say they like a draw role, they want somebody can be a Scrum Master and at the same time be a BA. So, and that means you'll be doing the requirements gathering, and at the same time, you will still be coordinating, facilitating the Scrum team. So it all depends. Any other question? Like I said, the business analysis is, so we have, so because if you're doing a BA, so as a BA, you help this organization to identify the business need. You are doing the documentation of the requirements, you're gathering the requirements. So, and when you say the business intelligence, you have various things, how you can actually, explain that. So, yeah. So because so it's like how will I put it? So, but it's not the same, but I'm trying to see how I can explain it clear, that you will understand, but they are different. It's not the same thing. So because like your, intelligence, you have to do analysis, like your data analysis, your, how you probably maybe it has to do more analyzing data, sort of. Any other question, please? Okay, yeah. So if you don't have any other question, yep, okay. Thank you so much. Is there a definite format of templates and putting together the requirement? Yeah, sometimes you do have the organization that you work, they will have a template, and if they don't have, definitely I'm sure you could get, but you just need to make sure your template, your business requirement document, it has probably the problem statements and the reason, like the purpose of the document, and your, like your functional requirement section, your process mapping, your user stories, like basic things you just need to make sure you have. And simply, okay, yeah. So yeah, but I'm sure most organizations, except if it's a new startup that they don't have, but I'm sure most organizations you have a template, or you may even have maybe an whole document that maybe that somebody have documented before. You can just ask to ensure that, oh, are you happy for me to use this, or you want me to use a different template? And your manager can tell you, oh, you are free to use the template, or you can use the sample or the format of the previous documents. So it just depends. Is the internship that we both taught? Oh, and I think it's an hands-on, so you will be doing they will put you in a team, you have your project team, and you have a project that you'll be working on. And yes, and I think you have some mentors as well that will help you, that will guide you how to go about the project. Like if you have a BA mentors, not BA tutors, BA mentors. They will mentor you how you can go about your tasks, your activities. So you will not be alone. During the internship, there will be, you have some people that will guide you through, through the process, that will help you, maybe with templates, with how you can map the process if you have problem with it. But you have people that will be assisting you. So they will call them mentors. Yeah. So when you say if you had to have the experience and not restrict to be a Scrum Master, yes, it depends if you want to. It depends on what you actually want to be. If you actually interested in Scrum Master, yes, you can focus on Scrum Master. Except you have interest in BA, yeah, why not? You can still have that BA experience. So yes, but sometimes I try to learn. Some other, like now I can do like some basic testing. So I can write some test cases and I can do some basic testing. So in a way, I can still do some few bits, that the tester that they do, I can still do it. And as a Scrum Master, as a BA, I can still do, few things as a Scrum Master as well. So if you have the knowledge, it will be to your own advantage. If you know it, no knowledge is lost. So it will be useful for you, whether, going forward. So I would say you should. So it just depends on what you think can work best for you. So there are some people that they can't really, put everything, like learn multiple things. So, but if you think you can learn BA and also learn things about Scrum Master, why not? Yeah, go for it. Oh yes. So if you, as a Scrum Master, you can't say, oh, I won't say Scrum Master can work as a BA. For you to work as a BA, that means you must have that BA experience, not like that skills. You know how to document your requirements. You know how to facilitate workshop. You know how to, gather your requirements, and you know how to map the processes. Then you can still work as a BA. But not all Scrum Master can work as a BA. No, because some people don't know how to write the requirement. They don't know that requirement has the priority, how you write the requirements or how you map the processes. Not all Scrum Master knows how to map processes. No. So, but if there's a difference that you have the skills of a BA, and at the same time that you can do all the things that BA can do, and at the same time you can still do Scrum Master. You can still, play that role as a Scrum Master, but you need to have that skills. You need to be able to know how to write your requirement, document your requirements, gather your requirements, facilitate all this before you can do both together. So not a Scrum Master can play that role as a BA, no. Listen to the spin of during the internship with this baby visitor and full tutorial. Well, I'm not sure. So that is why you need to because it's still part of the essence is for you to watch the previous videos that we have, the BA classes that we have on YouTube channel, the Blue Sky Citadel. So that's the essence. So because between now and your and end of the month, we expect you to have watch the videos. So before you actually begin that internship. So we are not going to give you like a full tutorial of the whole classes, like class 1 to like 12-hour session. No. So that's why the videos are there on YouTube for you to go and watch it, because it's the same like I'm speaking at the moment. So but it's very detailed. All those videos there have details. So yeah, you can. So we are not going to have revisit everything like in full. No, not at all. So because you have a lot to do during the internship, So it just saves time for you to go and watch that before the internship begins. At least you have the idea and knowledge of everything that is expected of you. Then you can now apply that, during the internship. Yes, Blue Sky, we have is different Scrum Master course. Yes. And I think the introduction to that course, I'm not sure whether this week or next week as well, but you can check the timetable. So, but yeah, there's a different Scrum Master course. Yeah, you have a course as a whole on that. Can you, no, you can run to internship simultaneously. So you just have to choose one. So it's either you're a Scrum Master or you're a BA, you're a tester, or you are acting as a developer or a project manager. You have to choose one. Yes, you will be working on a live project during the internship. Yes, you'll be working on a live project. Any other question before we call it? Okay, yeah, if you don't have any other question, yeah, thank you so much for your time. So with the internship be part of our experience. Yes, it's experience. It's life experience. Yes. Yes. So because you can still refer to it, on your CV saying you've done this project, and during the interview, it will make it easier for you to be able to respond that, oh, when I was working on maybe property project, this is what I did, and I was able to, liaise with stakeholders, because you still have your project sponsor, you have the people that the team, and so you can still reference to it. For someone with accounting background, which of the internship will you recommend? It depends on your interest. It depends. So do you want to work as a BA, you want to work as a software tester, or you want to work as a project manager? So it all depends on what you actually, your interest. So accounting background, so to be honest, it depends on your interest. It depends. But you are not really restricted to whether BA or software testing. So it depends on what you think you enjoy doing and what you like. And, I don't I can't do anything. So I can work as a tester if I want, and I can, it's just once you put your mind to it, yes. So, but yeah. So it just depends on your interest and what you think you can. There are some people, they just think, oh, I don't like reading. So if you don't like reading or writing, so definitely BA is not for you. Because you have a lot of, sometimes you may have like some documentation that you have to read pages, like maybe pages upon pages, and you have to document your requirements as well, that involves a lot of pages. So if it's something that you don't really enjoy writing, documentation, to be honest, no. I would say don't go near BA, but it's doable. Yeah, so it's doable. So it's doable. So yeah, so I didn't know. Yeah, so if you don't have any other question, Elaine, thank you so much for your time, and I wish you all the best.